Hello, welcome to Kia e-Niro Diaries on the 16th of October, it's Monday, and my goodness, it suddenly got a bit chilly. It was 8 degrees this morning, whatever. Still no rain though. Anyway, we are heading off to Spain today. It's a country that e-Niro's never been to, just northern Spain. It's about a 5-hour drive south of here. Never been. We've been as far as Bordeaux many times, of course, so part of the journey will be familiar. But then we're going to go through the Les Landes, which is like an enormous forest, basically, that goes all the way down to the Spanish border. And they suffered a lot of fires there last year. Anyway, charged to 100% and overnight, and we've got an unrealistically optimistic 543 kilometers of range, which we know that's just because we've been doing a lot of local driving, and it's been very warm the last few weeks, say mid-20s during the day and not really very cold at night. So anyway, our first port of call is going to be a Tesla charger 275 kilometers down, which is over halfway. Where we're going is actually 425 kilometers. So actually not as far as when we went to Brittany last month. So anyway, we'll see how we get on, and I think Mrs. e-Niro is going to drive the first bit, and then I'll get us around the Bordeaux Ring Road and onto the charger, hopefully. See how we go. So Mrs. e-Niro's done 130 kilometers. We're about halfway to the Tesla charger. Just stopped to swap drivers here, and here's a services that we've stopped at many times over the years on the way down to Bordeaux in the southwest. It's been completely revised, and it's got all these Ionity chargers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Ionity chargers, and a brand new restaurant and building, and a new place for filling up your fossil fuel car as well. Very nice. So here we are on the Bordeaux Ring Road, and so that services back there then. What do we think of that? Pretty good. Even had a couple of washing machines for lorry drivers. That's what we think it was for anyway. Very impressive, and yeah, another 6 or 7 Ionity chargers to go with it. So yeah, this is a bit slow. We've got to do this for about another 15 minutes, and then we should get away from Bordeaux and get on our way. We've got about another 90k to get to the Tesla charger, but we are still showing 360 of range, and we've done 171. So actually, what I said earlier, that 534 was unrealistic, not that far out, and I've managed to keep it almost as efficient as Mrs. e-Niro. So here we are in Les Landes, a couple of kilometers off the autoroute, and there's all these Tesla chargers. We spent a lot longer here than we planned to. We were parked next to, plugging in, charging, parked next to some Brits who live here as well, with their Renault Megane E-Tech. I had a good chat with them. So we're at 46% when we arrived, done 275k, so easily 450k of range indicated, and we are at 75% now with over 400 kilometers of range again, far more than we need to finish the journey down to Spain. So just having a quick sandwich and getting on our way. So we were plugged in for 26 minutes and we added 170 kilometers, and that cost €9.46. So we've had a wonderful 3 days in San Sebastian, northern Spain, where we stayed. Had a AC charger. We just paid them €9 and we could just plug in and use as much as we like. And last night before we left, I plugged in and we got up to 90%. Didn't really want to leave it overnight at 100%. So we have 470 of range. So we've done 300 kilometers now. Say 2 days ago we were swimming in the sea, we were on the beach, it was like high 20s degrees. Today it's like 17, howling wind and driving rain, and it's been really tough driving so far. So we've done 300 kilometers. We're north of Bordeaux now, down to 29%, 130 of range left showing on the GOM, and we've still got 130 to get home. So I thought, yeah, we'll plug in. So we're at Ionity now. I did initially start with the idea of doing what we did when we came down here, which was use the charge map planning, route planning, and it suggested plugging in just south of Bordeaux at a Shell recharge. But there are so many places to plug in now between the Spanish border and up here and going on into sort of more central France. I mean, on our way we must have passed about a dozen places where we could have plugged in, and we got to the stage where we needed a break. We're a bit hungry, needed to use the bathroom, so we stopped, had our sandwich and thought, no, scrap the planning thing, switch the GPS off. I know where there's a place we can plug in at our convenience. There's really loads of places, so it's take your pick, and it really is very easy, certainly getting from the Spanish border up to where we want to be. So anyway, only about another hour and 20 minutes now to get home. Mrs. e-Niro is going to take over and I need a rest. So just a summary then, now we're back home. We actually arrived back with 15% state of charge, which is the lowest we've been for a long time, with 69 kilometres still on the gasometer. So over the 5 days then, we left on Monday, came back on Friday, went down to northern Spain, and we drove 966 kilometres in total. We spent €25.76 on recharging. So basically €9.46 for 22 kilowatt hours at Tesla going down. Actually, we didn't need to spend all that time, but we met some Brits who were charging down there as well. They had a Megane E-Tech, and we just got chatting, and I put far more in than I needed to finish the journey, but there we go. It was an easy trip, and it was good fun to chat to some other EV owners down there. Say, coming back, the charge we've just done coming back at Ionity, a bit more expensive. We were there for 13 minutes. We added 80 kilometres, and we put 11.6 kilowatt hours on, and it cost €7.30 to do that. Now, I mean, people who say, oh, you got to wait for your car to charge. I mean, to be honest, we plugged in, we went to the loo, we walked once round the building just to stretch our legs, because it was a really hard drive up this morning, 3.5 hours in driving wind and rain. And, we added 80 kilometres. And I mean, as I say, this car now is pretty slow in the, it's nowhere near state of the art. I mean, if we'd have had, something like there's lots of cars now that are charged at 150 kilowatts when you're on a low state of charge. So it would have been 7-8 minutes. We'd barely had time to use the bathroom. So anyway, that's what it cost us. Obviously, we left home with a full state of charge, and charging here is effectively free because I've got the solar. But even if I had to pay for my electricity to get to 100% from home, I wouldn't have spent more than €40 on it. So a Niro hybrid doing 50 to the gallon would have used 55 litres to do 966 kilometres, and that would have cost, at the current prices here in France, which is €1.85 a litre in supermarkets, you'd have spent euros 88. So all this stuff on the YouTube about, oh, it's more expensive to run your electric car now than it is a petrol, it is absolute rubbish, as along with all the other rubbish about EVs catching fire all the time. In fact, we make a joke of it now. There was a fire at one of the péage booths. Clearly it was all burnt out, and Mrs. e-Niro jokingly said, oh, it must have been an EV then, because every fire that there ever is now, it's the fault of an EV. Anyway, I think I'll have other things to say about that in future videos. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. Really appreciate the new subscribers that have been coming on. If you've not watched this channel before, it's all about our experience of long-term ownership of the e-Niro, now on 91,000 kilometers, and next month we're off to the UK, so we're going to add another few more thousand kilometers on that trip. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until the next time.